Hey, what's up, guys? We are live again in the middle of the week. Well, it's towards the end of the week, but we are live all over the place on YouTube, Instagram, and we are live now on Instagram. And you guys can listen to us on all your major social platforms that you're listening to, like Apple, iPad, iHeart, anywhere. But what I want to do is today we got a special host and this guy comes all over the place. He's got parts all over the place. This is one of our great sponsors, Ed from Pro Parts Direct. Ed, introduce yourself. Tell us what you do. I mean, some people don't know what you guys do out there and what you sell.
Yeah. So I guess a little short story about myself. I've been in the industry, though I know I look younger, but I've basically grown up in the dealership since I was like 19 years old. Pro Parts itself has been around since like 1996. We were just doing catalog stuff. Now, the cool thing with Pro Parts, we're actually backed up by 3 dealerships here in New England. So that's why we have so many parts. But we focused specifically on the landscape contractor, probably about 96, 97, and said, all right, we're going to make this catalog and kind of just push these parts. Because one thing we found in the dealerships is like you guys can't have downtime, like that's the
Right.
biggest number one killer. So we said, all right, if we just stocked up on parts, the equipment will kind of come naturally. And if you're a landscaper anywhere in the New England area, you shop from our Turf Depot stores because we have everything. And then I come along about 2009, built the first website. And I say that being kind of I went to school for web design, but I've literally done everything here. So like I've done parts, I've done assembly, I've done sales. We used to fix our 2-cycle. So like not only do I, make YouTube videos and Instagram stuff first, but I
Right.
also have actually done this stuff. And I think that's probably one of the unique things with us, is like you call us. I mean, I got Roy, who's been landscaping for 35 years. I've landscaped, I've been in the dealership. I have another guy that's worked for me for 16 years, and he's done all, assembly and repair. So you're talking to people who really know what they're talking about, and it's not just somebody answer the phone. So, but yeah, we have online, we have a catalog. That's actually what I'm working on now. That's coming out in the next 2 weeks. So if you're on our mailing list, we'll get a catalog out. But it's got all the fast moving parts, and we carry pretty much every brand. I mean, unless it's John Deere, which even that we can get some stuff, but it's probably something I can't get. And
Right.
jokingly, we always say, well, if we can't get it, it doesn't exist. Because we have so many vendors that we can get parts from, or we know who to get them from. And if we don't, you know, our software we have in turn, we're actually connected with 1,000 dealers across the country. So if I don't have it, I can tell you who does have it, and I can tell you what neighborhood he's in, and can probably tell you. So, we're like I was kind of saying a little bit, I think there's still a need to go to your local dealer. We never tell someone, hey, don't go to your local guy and pick up a belt. But this time of year, you need bulk stuff. You need oil filters, air filters. We have it, and we're going to have the best deals on it. Oils, that kind of stuff. In season stuff, if you're looking for accelerated grass catchers, or you're looking for pro slides or anything like that, I have it. And that's the type of unique stuff, is because we've built up such a good um, conglomerate of parts that I'd be very surprised if I couldn't get something, or if we weren't on the cutting edge of stuff. And because of the volume and stuff that we do, a lot of the manufacturers will bring stuff to us and to try or to hand out, or so yeah. I mean, if there's something you guys need, certainly check out our website at propartsdirect.net, which is, it's a .net because there was a car company that owned the .com for years. And
Oh,
I tell you, for the last 20 years, I've been emailing this dude saying, hey, sell the .com. And they just park it. They won't even let us buy the thing. So
jeez.
we're a .net, but kind of
Yeah.
unique.
It is. It is unique. I mean, okay, so here I got a question for you, and I know there's some people watching us on Instagram,
Scott, I
but
don't know if you froze or not, but
yeah, I probably did.
it's counting on
Can you
my
hear me
end, but
now?
you seem to be kind of frozen.
You see me now? Hear me? I don't know. I can hear you pretty good. what is your biggest? Can you see me still? What's your biggest seller product wise? Okay, well, we lost Ed for a second. Hopefully he'll be right back. Guys, your questions. If you got any questions, Ed's gonna add him back on.
All right, there we are.
All right, you see me now? Everybody
Yeah,
said
I
they
can
can
see
see you. So,
Yeah, it was weird. You kind of froze, and then I think I was talking to myself there for a little bit. I don't know.
it's good. Chris over Beaters Mower said you're up and close and personal now, so that's a good thing, you know.
Yeah, I know Chris pretty well, and it's funny the relationship. I know you know him pretty well too, but he's good friends with Bill Parker, the Kawasaki rep, who is our rep, and they're all live in the same area. So,
That's
but
amazing.
yeah, Chris is funny. You know, I feel bad for him with what Instagram's doing with him on his channel and stuff.
Oh yeah.
But
It's you got all them social channels have their little restrictions, and it's just amazing how they're all different, but half of them are owned by the same company, you know. And it's like, come
yeah.
on.
Yeah,
But
I mean, like we're not rocket science. You know, like we're doing lawn and garden stuff. You know, like what?
Right.
Leave us alone. So we always kind of
Right.
think about it.
We're doing our own thing. We're not trying to take over internet and social. Okay, we're just trying to do our own thing. So
yeah, it's kind of ridiculous, you know. But yeah, I don't know where it like left off, but yeah, you know. I think Pro Parts is kind of a good tool for people. You know, if you
right,
need something that's kind of odd, or if your local guy can't figure it out, you know, and jokingly, we always say, you know, your local guy's probably buying the parts from us anyway, so you can kind of go to the source. But you know, we carry such a range of things, so it's like, hey, you know, you got your right standard parts, I can sell you that, and I can get you a Cowie air filters, and oh, you want a Pro Slide, and you know, you got a Dingo, okay, yeah, well, we can get all of that on one order. Um,
yes.
you know, and then we offer ProShip Gold, which is kind of like an Amazon Prime kind of deal where you just pay
Okay,
one flat fee, get your free shipping the whole year. Well, that's been very, very popular for guys, particularly, you know, if a guy doesn't want to really stock parts or something, or wants he knows that they're going to order 5, 6, 7 times in a year,
right.
get that program. It saves you a ton of money in shipping.
I would say it would. I mean, why wouldn't you want to do? You know, because like you said, it's kind of like Amazon. You pay into Amazon so you can get most of the stuff pre-shipped or within a couple days, and it's like for you guys, that's got to be a benefit for anybody buying from you to be able to get that product right away. You know,
Yeah,
so
yeah, and those guys, you know, we kind of moved to the head of the class a little bit, you know. So you know, when comes spring, if you got ProShip Gold, I'm going to make sure that order's going out, you know, right away over a Mrs. Jones who's just buying like a regular lawnmower blade or
right,
something. So
right,
we
right.
prioritize, and you get a few little anything free that we get from a manufacturer. We always try to throw in the box with them, so there's a little more incentive to do it, but.
That's
Um,
awesome.
yeah, you know, right now we're gearing up. I mean, we got, about 45 pallets of parts that have come in that we're putting
Wow.
away. Yes. So I was just doing a video saying, look, if you need spring stuff, this is the time to get it because like
Right.
literally, yeah, I got 400 mufflers that came in. I
Wow.
got, Z spray. I got the front tires. I got 900 of those that just came in that guys are putting away. So it's, it's the time to do it. And I think everyone's kind of excited this year because finally everyone got snow. So there's a little bit of cash in everyone's pockets going into spring.
Yeah.
Where the last couple of years have been kind of tough for everybody. So,
Yeah.
we're hoping
What's your
everyone's
what's your biggest seller, Ed? What's the thing that just flies off the shelves like every time you get it?
surprisingly, Tweels. Tweels are
Okay.
pretty good.
Okay.
And I think that's been a popular product. Killed them a little bit because they just Michelin keeps jacking up the prices on them. But
Right. Yeah.
we're huge in Kawasaki 2-cycle oil. It's
Okay.
like that stuff. Now we have a good price on it, but by far that stuff literally it's like we get a pallet and it's gone, pallet and it's gone.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, you do have a great price on it, and I think that's one of the things that even though you can buy it sometimes from your dealer, a lot of people will look around and see if they can buy it cheaper and get it shipped. Why even go to your dealer sometimes, especially if like that for especially like a bulk of oil. So it's going to be a
Yeah,
better price
yeah,
advantage.
yeah. Oh, definitely, definitely. You know, and a lot of the stuff too, right? You think like, all right, if I got to go down my local dealer, it's 20 minutes, and probably spend 20 minutes there, 20 minutes back. So you're thinking your time, and we kind of say again, kind of what we're talking about a little bit with like downtime and stuff is like think of the time that you're sending your guy and the money wasted there where if you had kind of had some parts in stock to kind of get you through the problem, but then just order the parts and they're at your doorstep, and now you've
Right.
eliminated all that hassle. And again, you're talking to very experienced people here. I mean, most of the guys that work for me are 15 to 20 years plus in,
Wow.
so you're going to get the right parts. And if
Yeah.
you don't, we take them back, and it's on us. That's kind of our credo is, if we screwed up, if we effed up, then it's our fault. We're going to take the parts back and we'll make it right. But we try not to make that happen because, we know that, you're not ordering this part just to, have, you're not ordering an iPhone here, this is, or a
No. No.
jewelry or something, you need it because your machine's down. So we
Right.
try to take pride in getting that right, but yeah, I mean, if you can do that, you're saving the time, and that's the type of we're trying to save margin or to the bottom line. Those little things right there add up that you can really over the course of a year save some time just by ordering online. Ordering from us or anybody, as long as it's
Right.
not Amazon.
Yeah, let's not order parts from Amazon. I've had bad experiences from parts on Amazon, so I'd rather order from somebody like you that has the parts and knows exactly what to do with them and know which ones are going to work for my product. I
I,
mean,
I, and I can tell you over the last like 7 years, right? This is because you're gonna order on Amazon. You probably your credit card's built into the thing, whatever. It's easy, but I'll tell you how many people order 2 or 3 times, and the fourth time they're coming to us going, hey, I'm sick of the Chinese parts. The part's wrong. It lasts 2 or 3 weeks. Can I just buy the OEM part, or do you have an aftermarket version? And I'm like, well, if you would have bought it from us the first time, you wouldn't have had to buy it 5 times in a row.
right,
Um,
right,
so, those are the little things that, I think, anybody who's going to start out in this business, you're going to go through those pains. But, there's a reason why we're the, preferred parts guys for the grounds guys, US Lawns, Brightview, because those guys, need the quality. They'd rather, pay it once and be done with it than screw around 5 times and,
right,
that kind of thing. So.
right, right. Okay, I got a question for you. How many blades do you have in stock, like different for different mowers?
Oh, geez. Uh, it's got to be close to 100,000.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
a lot of blades. I mean,
it is. I mean, I could walk you through the thing, and I'll tell you that. So our goal every year is to sell roughly. This year, our goal is to sell 70,000 blades.
wow,
We
that's a
bring in
that's a
a.
lot of blades. Yeah,
It
yeah,
is. It is. It's huge. It's ridiculous. But you got to figure I carry close to 140 brands.
right.
So if we take just the top 12 commercial brands, the Right Standards, the Skags, and all the models that they have within their units, and then you look at like I carry Oregon rotary Stens. I got every blade that they carry. Now we got the new Laser Tech or Laser Edge blades that the self
Okay,
sharpening blades. I will see on those. But we carry those. And
okay.
then all the homeowner lines, NTD and Arians and Cub Cadet and all their blades. I mean, I got 5 rows of just solid blades, so
Wow, that's
yeah.
that's that's a lot of blades. That is a lot of
It,
blades.
it it is. And with Oregon alone, we're like the top blade vendor for them. Rotary, we're like number 2 or number 3. Gravely, I think we're number 1 or 2, for them on
Wow,
blades and stuff. But
that's
yeah, it's one of those things, it's just every mower, every model, you'd think like, oh, it's a 52-inch deck. Well, there's
right.
four styles of blades, 4 different kinds of blades. And you look at like Oregon, and they got like a straight blade, a solid blade, a notched straight blade, they got a sand blade, they'll have a gator blade, they'll have your gator blades, you got G3, G5, G6. So
Right,
there's
right.
just in one 52-inch deck is 18 blades that you could possibly do.
Wow, that's a lot, and I mean, you got to have a good computer system to keep it all together. To because
Oh yeah.
that's a lot of just the blades alone. That's a lot to put into a system, and then keep track of it. And then you got all the other start parts that you got in. That's a lot, to keep track of. And but
Yeah, and we were just a dealership, so we're not IBM. We always joke around, just a bunch of guys who just kind of went down this path. So like the computer system is something that we've kind of developed internally. We use kind of an industry standard software, but then we have another piece. So like that stuff doesn't just come along. That's a lot like us just over years developing. Say, hey, this worked, that didn't work. Um, you know, Probably similar to what you guys do,
right,
on your
yeah,
end of it. It's just we're regular guys coming to work, and
yeah,
sometimes you have to hire somebody who knows a little bit more what they're doing, and
right,
then we figure it out and kind of run with it till we screw it up, and then we keep
yeah,
moving,
right,
But
right,
yeah, the parts end of it, it's crazy because COVID kind of really kind of pushed a little bit further, and so like we had all our parts in this one room for a little bit, and then right, COVID shut down everything. So
right.
instantly we had to ramp up our inventory, and we moved into the building right next door to us, and that used to be a Planet Fitness, and we pretty much
Okay.
filled that. And we laugh
Wow.
because the floors are still rubber like a Planet Fitness. So
Right.
I keep telling my inventory, the receiving guys, I'm like, hey, enjoy this because we're never going to have a warehouse again with rubber floors,
Right.
but
Right. You can go out and work out before you put up some
oh yeah. Oh yeah, no, we
weight.
still have like the purple walls. We have the gears on the wall. Like, you could work
Nice.
out there but I mean you can lift all the blades. I mean, geez, some of these blades, I mean, you get a 12 pack of blades and that thing's,
Yeah.
40 pounds.
I mean, the weight will eyes on a lot of that stuff. I mean, like you said, blades are heavy, just like a 3 pack, and when you start adding them up, it's got to be some heavy weight to be pushing around. So yeah.
Yeah, all the wheel motors, those things are 65 pounds a piece. You got a guy buys two of them. Most of my guys, my parts pickers can probably deadlift, 500 pounds squat, 680. I mean, some of these things you go, man, I can't believe we're shipping this stuff.
Right. Right. Oh man. So okay, here's a typical day. I'm gonna say if you had a typical part in stock and somebody ordered it, how long do you think it goes through the system before it's shipped out? And then I know shipping, it depends on where you're at and all that, but how long does it take to be once it's ordered to get to like shipping?
Oh, sure. Pretty much the same day. I mean, if we
Okay,
got it, if we have it, which hopefully we do, but if we have it, we don't screw around like that. They literally, like, if you ordered up until, let's say, 3:30 Eastern time, if you
okay,
ordered that part, it'll ship out the same day. Maybe it's because we're boutique enough or small enough that we can do it, but yeah, I
right,
mean, and especially I would tell you, like, if you got the word landscape in your name or lawn care, it goes out that day. I mean, that's, we don't screw
that
around with that at all. That's, kind of prior. That's how we made our name, is kind of
right,
really paying attention to the landscaper. So we try to make sure that happens. I mean, we close here at 5 p.m. Eastern time. So if it's after 5, it'll be the next morning. Now, kind of the unique thing about being in New England is all the distributors are in the New England region. So unless you're on the West
right,
Coast, you're dealing with like power distributors and those guys. But
right.
KPM, EDM, Precision, that's Walker, Wright, Skag, Exmark. They're all in the New England region. So if I need anything, it's literally like, all right, one day up to me, one day out to you. So it's pretty
That's
quick. Maybe
that's amazing. That is amazing, and I think that's from what you got, like you said, you started in what, 96? You said.
yeah, 96
Yeah,
was
I mean
the
that
first
that
start.
you probably started out small, and then now it's like you said, you've expanded into a bigger building. So I think you guys have brought in so much more, and I think it's going to probably keep getting bigger because there's still tons of mowers that are coming out left and right, and tons more parts that you're going to have to keep growing. So I see it continuously growing. Do you see anything that has been a downfall towards parts wise,
Uh,
like
you know,
tariffs or anything?
if there's ever a downfall, it's really the manufacturer. And
Okay,
I'm not going to sit and throw anyone particularly under the bus, but it's a
right,
lot to
right,
do with. You got to think about like their build cycles, particularly like snowblowers right now. Like they build that stuff in June and July, and then they're forecasting from the last 3 years. Well, it hasn't snowed in the last 3 years, so you go, okay. they have no belts right now. They have no fuel shutoff. So all these things, you go, you're trying to tell a guy in Massachusetts, hey, he's got no auger belt. Yeah, that's not going to work. And
Right.
it's hard.
Right.
But that brand is not going to just start whipping out, auger belts until next year when they need to produce them. So that becomes a challenge. But then that's when we go into kind of work, and that's what we do is we'll go, okay, well, if we can't get it through there, what's the other options? Um, but then, particularly, more on the landscape side, uh, we don't see too many problems. And Toro kind of had a little bit of an issue a couple of years ago with just sourcing some particular dingo tracks. Because a
Okay.
lot of those rubbers come from China and they get imported to Canada, but then down into us. And that was a huge problem because, if you got a $40,000 dingo sitting there and you can't run the thing because the left track is broken, so
Right.
we sourced a company out of Utah that was making them. And then we
Okay.
laughed because somebody at Toro must have found out, and now they're buying the tracks from the same company we were. So I'm like,
Well,
damn it. Yeah.
yeah.
So,
It's one thing
so
you're trying to do. So
yeah, so that's probably the one thing that we do probably a little more unique is like, we're if we can't get the part, we're gonna hunt that thing down because we have so many guys who kind of know probably like who actually made it for that company and we dive into it, or we wait for that box to come in from the manufacturer, then go find that company and then go buy the parts from them. I'm gonna try it anyway, we'll see. Not
right.
on everything, but
Yeah.
the kind of the unique thing is, up in New England, like everybody bags. So every commercial mower that goes out has got a grass catching system on it. Well, the manufacturers don't really, they're making machines for the rest of the country. So we're just kind of this niche where they don't really stock a lot of parts for the catchers and stuff. So we have to bring on a lot of those parts pre-season to make sure we have them for the guys up here. But those are probably parts where mid-season you go, man, we're out of impeller bearings. Like what the hell, and it's
Right.
well, they only make 5,000 of them. Okay, well, you blew through them all this year, but yeah. So for the most part, though, I think it's gotten back to normal. Like COVID was really, really tough with these guys because I think they were just trying to figure out where to get stuff in, and they would either have stuff, but then they wouldn't have staff in their own warehouses to send out to us. So things got super slow there. But we just kept ramping up our inventory. So every time, what they were telling us, for example, they'd say, hey, you order 100 belts, 100 whatever. Well, we'll only give you 66% of the order because we got to spread it around. So we said, okay, let's order 200%, and
Right.
then we'll get our 100% we need. So we
Right.
kind of play those games and stuff. But for the most part, everybody's back to normal. And I think everyone's got good fill rates. So we're never too worried on that stuff. And for the most part, most of the brands are pretty solid. I mean, you're talking Skag or Wright, nothing breaks on those machines.
Right. Right.
So maybe a belt, you wear out the blades, you
Yeah.
air filters, but
Yeah.
it's some of the other machines that are a little more maintenance involved, like a
Yeah.
Walker or an X-Mark or something like that requires a little bit more, that we're seeing a little more parts on that end. But yeah, I mean, other than that, the next thing we're looking at, like Stinger, we're working on
Okay.
that. It's been more of just like a stand-on sprayer spreader. We'll have those
Right.
parts on the site. Now that Exmark bought out Spartan, we're gonna have Spartan parts. So
Okay.
the Spartan parts, we're working on that right now, trying to figure out, because obviously they're converting some of the stuff, so it's technically Exmark and Toro parts. So they're just trying to figure out what's special. So as soon as we have that price list, we'll have Spartan parts on the site. So
That's awesome.
um,
Yeah.
yeah, and the more brands we can add, we try to bring them on, because everybody's got their own flavor and what they like a machine, or, I mean, you got the standard guys, but, there's always something new out there that we're like, all right, how can we get that part? Or, what do we have to do? Who do we have to sign up with, or what
Right.
machines are you want us to buy? Because that's sort of the problem with the industry a little bit, right? Is everything's kind of geographically locked as a dealer. So you need to be the dealer in that region in order to carry the parts. So I can't carry any of the parts I do unless I bring on, say, 2 or 3 of the machines. So I need to bring on, to carry Dingo, I need to bring on 5 Dingos, to
Right.
carry Z total commercial parts. I'm going to bring on 4 Z Masters and a couple that are walk behind. So when you have 70 brands, we got a lot of equipment here, so
Right. Right.
anytime we bring on now a new piece of equipment, we're like, can we do the parts only? And they're like, no,
Right.
no, you
Right.
gotta you gotta have the sprayer, you gotta have, so
Right.
we bring that all on. So it becomes a little bit of a challenge in that just space, like where do
Right.
you put all this stuff?
Right, right. I mean, it's got to be a lot to try to, especially that, especially when you got to bring on equipment and then try to figure out where do you put it all. And it's got to be, okay, how do we bring this all in? How do we continue to, keep bringing in more equipment, like you said, and more brands, so that way you can, offer more things. So
Yeah, and you got to be smart with it. I mean, if we brought in everything, we probably go broke trying to bring everything in,
right,
and if it doesn't sell, we that's not going to work for us either. So, the leadership here, the guys above me are very smart with it and making sure we got the right brands and it's going to sell and it's something guys are asking for. We're fortunate we got some big heavy hitters up in our neck of the region, so if they want a piece of equipment, they'll bring it in, and because they want to purchase it, we're able to now say, "Hey, we can get the parts for it." Well, like the brand
right,
like Y Bravo is kind of an odd brand that you wouldn't think you'd sell very many parts for, but people have them. But we brought it in because one specific landscaper wanted that style of 21-inch mower. So we signed up
yeah,
for it, sold them the mowers. Now we carry the parts, so it's kind
that's
of like
amazing.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that is
and
amazing.
it has the as the industry's changing a little bit, in on my end of the industry, where the dealership side of it is, a lot of the dealers are kind of getting older and kind of going out of business. So what's happening is these manufacturers had a dealer up in, say, like upstate New York. That dealer now is retired and closes doors, so they have to go somewhere. So now that manufacturer will come to us and say, "Hey, um, can you at least take on the parts and support our customers?" So that's
Right.
kind of what we're here for. Is just we'll sell you the parts. We don't care. We can ship them out to the guy. So and unfortunately, it is happening a little bit more and more. The dealer
Yeah.
base is getting older. They're kind of getting out of the business. The kids didn't want to take it over for one reason or another, and um, you guys still have to go somewhere to get the parts, and
Right.
that's why we're
Right.
around. And that, to your point earlier about do you see it growing? Yeah, I do, because of that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and hopefully eventually I can open up pro parts stores and make it a little more convenient, but
There
it's
you
going to
go.
take a little bit.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, you never know, right? I got a question over on Instagram. Do you carry snow plow parts? I mean, I know you carry snow blowers, and since you guys are up in the northeast of United States, do you carry snow plow parts?
No, we used to.
Okay,
And I tell you, in our neck of the woods, we have some really good snowplow guys that, like we used to carry Weston, we
right,
carried um, some of the we carried Snow X.
okay,
Um, from a dealer standpoint, I'll tell you, it's hard for us because when there is a problem, typically it's 2 in the morning and they want to show up at the
right,
dealership, and we just didn't have anyone on staff to show up and like, hey, your sander's broken and your plows don't
right,
work. I'd love to carry the stuff. It's just it's not in our purview. Not that it won't ever
right,
be, but right now, no.
right. I don't blame you. I mean, I know a lot of places by us like that sell plows, or like you said, there's always somebody there when it snows, so it's like, and because usually like that, there's always a breakdown in the middle of the night, and it's not like you can plan ahead and get parts ahead, but then a lot of times it's last minute. You're like, oh, I need this at 2 in the morning and nobody's open, so I get where your standpoint is on that. So yeah.
Yeah, we learned our lesson because we had Snow X early on, or when it was like Trinex. We had that early on, and I'll tell you, like the guy would buy the sander from us and it would only have one vibrator on the side of the thing. And this was early on before they realized, hey, you should have dual, and then have a screw at the
Right.
bottom. And so, inevitably, the guys don't do the mix correctly, and that Trinex would be like, oh, you didn't mix it. It was supposed to be 70-30 or 60-40. And you're like,
Right.
it's 2 in the morning. This guy, who cares what the mix is? The thing's got a clump in
Right.
its plug. So now you got the truck, the guy sitting out front of you, and it's your fault. You got to take care of it. And you go, man, we just couldn't, to do it right, and to do anybody justice, we couldn't service it correctly. So we just said, all right, let's do what we're good at, and then
Right.
we'll let somebody else do the plow stuff and snow sander stuff.
That's awesome. Okay, I got a question that hopefully I'll stump you. Like I said earlier, I always put these questions out there. So this has nothing to do with parts. So this is I
Yeah,
hope stumps you. So
sure.
if you were on a desert island for the rest of your life and could choose one item of food that you could eat for dinner, breakfast, lunch, anything, what would it be?
Uh, Probably hot dogs.
Hot dogs. I don't see no problem with that. I mean, it's available. It would be very good. So I mean,
Yeah.
you know, it's something that you could eat all the time. So that's a good one. I
Well,
like that.
hot dogs or like a Hawaiian pizza, like,
Right.
I don't know why, like, so I did like a crazy hike. Now, I'm by no means a hiker, but my buddy was like, "Hey,
Right.
we got you do this hike up in the mountains in New Hampshire. It's great." Like day 2, I'm like, could crave nothing but a freaking Hawaiian pizza. So like on the way home, I'm like, I'm stopping. I gotta
Right.
get one. And I have no idea why, but like hot
Right.
dogs, just because they're like they're quick. You can just carry them around. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
Right. You can eat
eat
them
them
at any
cold.
time.
Yeah, eat them
You
cold,
know.
eat them warm.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I agree with you. I think that's a good one. All right. So I know you're busy right now. So if somebody's looking for parts, where can they find parts, and easy is it to get to them?
Yeah, so first I'd go to our website, propartsdirect.net. You can type in anything in the search tool, it should come up. If you couldn't get a hold of us there, call us on the 800 number at 800-305-9255. That's where you're going to talk to either Roy, you can even talk to myself, you get Dennis. Anybody in there can pretty much help. Also, on the website, we have a live chat. So if you don't like talking on the phone, but you still need some answers, some help, use the live chat. I actually run that, so you probably get me on that. Or we monitor the Instagram and the Facebook and stuff. Instagram probably a little bit better. So if you got some quick questions or you want to know, we have Tweels, or like I was talking to JB Landscaping, and he's asking me about Tweels on Instagram. Go ahead, certainly do that. It may be a little slower, like a day, or you might get a text at like 8 o'clock at night, but we do respond to it.
That's all right. I mean, a lot of times, especially like on Instagram, I agree with you. Instagram, Facebook, sometimes I'm a little later to respond sometimes to some of those, because I'm not on there as much, or it's a question and you're like, okay, I got to really think about this before I answer what it is, to make sure. And especially with you guys, you probably want to make sure that all the information is correct, especially if somebody's saying, hey, can I put Tweels on this Spartan, and you're like,
Yeah.
well, you could, but let me double check before I give you yes and what ones are gonna fit, So
Oh
I
yeah,
get that.
certainly with them too, because everyone thinks, oh, it's just a tweel. I'm like, no,
Right,
they're like tires for your truck. They're specific to the rim, to the model, to the deck width, and it takes a little bit to just figure out. Like, all right, yeah, he's got a 52 Super Z, with no bagger. Okay, that's the tweel. So,
right,
oh yeah.
right,
The other problem I have with that too, though, is like I'll kind of somebody will message us on Instagram, but then because of Meta, it'll tell you, oh, there's a message, and you're like, was that on Facebook or Instagram?
right.
Where
You're
like
like,
where am I
right,
replying to this guy? It's
right. You're like, is it Instagram? And then you're looking all over, like, wait a minute, where's it not on this one? And then you got to go over to the other one. So yeah,
yeah, or you're in Facebook, you click on it, and then it just spins and goes nowhere. I'm like, oh, that
right,
must have been on Instagram. Let me log into Instagram. So,
yeah,
I don't know. I like it, but I'm also not super versed in that stuff.
right. All right. So one last question. When's your busiest time? I know it's probably busy all year, but do you have a busy time of the year that you're just like slammed? I know you had talked earlier that you're kind of slammed right now, but when's the busiest time usually that you're like, you're in between all kinds of stuff and you're not twiddling around like, oh, what do I do today?
Yeah, I would say in the next 4 weeks, probably I would say the last week of April to about the middle of May, end of May, because it's kind of how the country kind of starts heating up. So like the
Right,
guys in Texas and Florida, Louisiana right now are doing kind of like cleanup, fertilization, pesticide, that type. So we're sending a lot of seed spray parts and sprayer parts, that kind of stuff. But as the country starts warming up, everybody's full bore. So when you get into
right,
May, I mean, everybody from Florida and Michigan is just honking at you like, where's my parts? What's going on? And it's full bore, into it. But yeah, that'd be the busiest peak time where, good luck.
Good luck getting the parts before you're out. You know?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and it's crazy because like right now, like the guys in Australia and New Zealand are actually cutting on. We have a ton of Skag and Walker guys out that way,
Okay.
and so they're busy. So we're getting a lot of calls from that on top of like all the snow belt type stuff. New York and Michigan, Minnesota,
Right.
Ohio, that area. So it's like we got these two worlds kind of coexisting, but then in a couple of weeks, the snow goes away and it's 100%, spring and
Right.
long. And then
Yeah.
that'll go pretty much right through June. July 4th is that day where we all kind of look at each other and kind of breathe a little bit and go, okay, like we made it this far.
Yeah. Once you get to that part where you can have a nice break for a week, and you're not like running all over the place and everybody's running. That's where I think it comes into a handy. It's like us in the lawn care industry. I think we always have that point where when it starts to get really hot and stuff starts to dry out, you're like, oh, this is just awesome. I can relax. I'm not working 80 hours a week. I can cut it back to about 50, and I'm still good to where I'm getting everything done and I have some time to relax. And I think that's amazing that we all have that. And I think you guys are probably like all over the place most of the time. And that's amazing that you guys are busy like that 90% of the time. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and that's one of the cool things I've actually always kind of said about this a little bit is like, if it's snowing in New York, it's beautiful in Florida. So like there's
Right.
always something going on. But to a little bit more kind of the social media set, like because of this, we've been able to talk to everybody across the country. So like if we have a landscaper that's, doing something different in Texas, we kind of know about it and you go, okay, well, let's either adjust our parts out that way, or if he's got something, we can share that tip with the dude that's in Ohio or something. And you go, hey,
Right.
this guy's trying this, particularly blade configuration, on a mower deck. That's
Right.
one thing, depending on the region you're in, we kind of almost have a chart that says, hey, if you're looking for better bagging or just side discharging or mulching, you can add like one gator blade and two low lift blades, or a sand blade, a high lift, and a gate. Like you can change it and really change the airflow under the deck. So, and that it just kind of came to us because we're like, hey, we're talking to a guy in Georgia who's cutting a different type of grass and he's experiencing sand blowing and killing the underside of the deck. And then you're talking to a guy in Indiana that's got a similar problem, but he was using a high lift on just the end blade. And so like it's been kind of unique in that way. And I think that's kind of what like a podcast like
Right.
this or anything is being able to communicate that better between everybody, because
Right.
the only person that knew that was the guy in Georgia. Now he's able to tell us and we're able to tell everybody.
That I think that's what helps you guys out too is by talking to landscapers. And I know you've talked to me and you talked to a lot of landscapers, and I think that's what we all communicate now. And before, like years ago, nobody wanted to communicate, and
Yeah.
it'd be like you go into a dealer and the dealer would be like, oh, these are the only blades you're gonna get. This, you're not getting the gator blades or anything. So
Yeah.
I think it's more awesome to have this community and have social media to kind of help out too, because there's so many people that are just like, okay, I don't know what to do, and then everybody can fill them in, which helps out. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and you only ever used to get that information if you went to Equip or something like that, and you still only
Right.
got like a snippet of it. You weren't getting like the details of like the nitty gritty of it. You were getting whatever the manufacturer would tell you or something like that, or maybe you ran across another landscaper who's willing to share some of his secrets. But now everybody's like, this community has been kind of cool. And like I said, when I started, there wasn't Facebook or anything. I mean,
Right.
you were around too, so you
Yeah.
know, but like nobody did this stuff, and I remember
No.
at one point they kicked like Xmark or somebody came to say, hey, if you guys aren't on Facebook, if you don't have a website, you're behind. So then we get a
Right.
website. If you're not on
Right.
Facebook, you're behind. You're not on Instagram, you're behind. You're not on TikTok, you're behind. And now it's like, all right, we're on all this stuff, and we're ahead of the curve, but
Yeah. I think
it's
I think
cool to
of
see
like you
everybody
said,
get to it.
a lot of change since we've been in business, and it's just amazing. Like, yeah, I think social has helped us out, and I think the green industry is getting better. Especially, going through, listening to podcasts, talking to people
Mm.
in different areas. And I think that it's just amazing that how big we get and we keep growing into together and becoming more, informed on different things. Because like somebody had asked me before, like, do you like talking to people in Florida because they have different grass? I said, no, I like to know what kind of, blades they're cutting or what they're cutting compared to us, because it's like, you never know what goes on because everything's different between, here to Florida. Like there's so much difference, so we can all learn from each other. And that's the one good thing about this industry, and compared to before when there was nothing and when there was no social. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good example of that a little bit is like trimmer line. Like there was pretty much just like one trimmer. Like you bought steel trimmer line when you bought the Weed Whacker, and that was it. Echo had theirs, but we never sell a ton of it, right? And then Oregon came out with their Gator line, which was kind of the tops for years. Had an aramid cord down the center, beautiful line, right? And then like now there's like 18 versions of trimmer line out there.
Right.
Echo's got their Black Diamond, that's now the top. Oregon's now coming out with another line, but a lot of that is because so many guys throughout the internet were like talking about, hey, I use this line up against rock walls and chain link fences, and hey, this line doesn't break, and all this stuff where no one cared about that stuff before. And
Right.
you probably just bought whatever was on the shelf at your local dealer. Well,
Right.
because of social media, I mean, you go on our showroom floor, I got a wall. I mean, it's like a candy store of trimmer line. You're like pick
Your
whatever
home store is a candy store, really.
But I think what it helps too in general is it makes us all more professional, and you get a good vibe and a good professional outlook to it. And we joke around here in the dealership, like no one goes to college or no one's telling their girlfriend, hey, I'm going to work at the power equipment store. Like it's just it's not a sexy thing to be in. And landscaping is probably the next step there where you go, okay, but now we have something we can be proud about, right? I mean, we have something you can tell people, like not only do I run this awesome landscape company, I got a podcast, I got this, and oh yeah, we have trade shows that we go to, and we have a lot of communication and, people to lean on throughout the industry where, again, you go back 10, 15 years ago, if you told someone you were a landscaper, you worked in the power equipment store, they'd kind of be like, oh, really? Is that what you're doing?
Right.
And now it's like, yeah, this is actually a very good, reputable business to be in, a good industry.
Yes, yeah, the green industry has changed over the years, and I feel like more people want to be in it because, like you said before, it was like, oh, the only benefit was like you're outside, but then you say, oh, you're outside during the winter. Yes, we're outside during the winter. So it's changed now. It's like there's so much involved into it to where people are definitely wanting to get into it, and it is something that people aren't like laughing at you like, oh, you do landscaping, you do parts, it's more involved, and I think that's a good thing. So
yeah, I'm pretty sure my wife didn't marry me because I sell parts. I'll tell you that.
Hopefully not. If she did, hey, that good luck. She got the right guy. So yes. Well, thank you, Ed, for coming on. Thank you guys are all watching on us on Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, wherever you're watching us, and thank you guys for all listening to us. I want to thank Ed definitely and Pro Parts Direct for sponsoring the podcast Landscaping to the Point. So thank you guys for all listening. Keep listening. Ed, anything else you guys want to tell people? I mean, this is probably the time to get the cards.
No, obviously, buy parts from us if you can. If you can't, great. But we're out there, and we're always looking at your guys' best interests. So anything, throw us some questions, and we'll definitely try to give you guys a hand.
All right, that sounds good. Thank you guys. We'll talk to you all next week.